Now we all know the saying, before there was the Philippines, there was Butuan. But where did the population of Butuan really start? Join us on this episode because today we'll be covering two of Butuan's most historic and oldest streets, Noli Tangere and MV Tupaz. Let's go.
How do you get around Butuan City? Well, you simply tell the tricycle driver the name of the establishment you need to go. But what if the place isn't that famous? And what if you're not from around here? Well, you of course tell the driver the street of where you want to go.
And because Butuan is a highly urbanized city, around 300 plus square miles, there are a lot of places to get lost in. This is Timber City Streets, the show that gives me wood. Literally. Let's take a trip back World War II, starting on the west tip of Noli Tangere Street. Agusan National High School survived the hostilities of World War II and was even an enemy war post until the liberation during the early 1940s. The school was closed on December 8, 1941 due to the outbreak of hostilities in World War II. Finally, Agusan High School was reopened on July 16, 1945 during the early days of the liberation. Here we have the barracks, which refers to the old house that was used by the now defunct Philippine Constabulary. Now at the rear of the school on Noli Tangere Street is what people refer to as the barracks, which refers to this old one-story house behind me. It's called that because it once housed the Philippine Constabulary. Found along Noli Tangere Street is the Butuan Arts Center. It's a newly created cultural hub in the city. The center offers regular dance workshops, Zumba, yoga, voice and piano lessons, studio rentals, and so much more. You could visit them for your artistic needs. Walking further east of Noli Tangere Street, let's enter a more ancient time in our past, a place when there was no Butuan yet, but there was Barangay Agao. Now there are 27 barangays in the poblacion of Butuan, and all of them equally old and equally historic. After all, they're in Butuan. But all historians agree that Barangay Agao is the granddaddy of them all. I mean, basically this place was around even before the galleon trade between Manila and Acapulco, Mexico began in the 1600s. Barangay Agao is a small, mostly residential area near the Agusan River. Silongan Street and the other nearby streets are usually affected with floods because of the location. I walk this Noli Street on the Boulevard of Fulfilled Dreams. The Boulevard of Fulfilled Dreams is an historic place in Butuan City. Kay wapang Butuan, yaw na'y Agaw. On the Boulevard of the There's a marker where the history of Agao is written, which is located in front of their chapel of Immaculada Concepcion.
On July 25, 1876, a request for transfer was once more drawn up, signed by Gobernador Silio Diego Rosales and 70 other principales y cabezas del pueblo de Butuan. In the document in the National Archives, Erección de Pueblos. In 1865, the former Pueblo of Butuan, which was located in Banza for nearly 200 years, was forcibly transferred to Baag by Surigao Governor Manuel Boscasa. But severe flooding regularly occurred in Baag, can't tell. And the people could not engage in agriculture and cattle raising in that former site. Around 1877, the request for transfer was approved and site preparation commenced. By 1879, the settlement of Agao started in earnest, with the initial establishment of the Catholic convent. Agao became the core settlement to the present-day urban center of Butuan City.
Agao was the center of trade and progress in the 16th century Butuan. The means of transportation before was the Agusan River, and to travel on it was the Balanghay boats. Trade was facilitated by the Agusan River, which starts from the mountains of Compostela Valley and meanders along the 190 kilometers before draining in the Butuan Bay. This is really what makes Silongan Street and Noli streets different from the rest of the streets in Butuan City. They're close to the mighty Agusan River. Maybe I should take a ride on the pump boat. See what it was like for the ancient Butuanans to ride on their balangays and the trade it did with the Chinese or the Cambodians.
Sangja, bili na kamu. You want phone? Oh, you want phone? Papi, DVD. Oh, Xerox copy, notarize. Oh, I can notarize that. Bili na kamu, bili na. Ni Sangja. Tama na, ni Sangja. Mari ka doon, bunsin sila. Ada je main na. Ada. Ha. Oh. Ayo, ikaw pare, gusto mo bumili? Baka ikaw. Oh, marami dito. Bili na kayo. Bili na kamo.
It kind of looked like the boat ride had me travel back in time. When we come back, we'll get to know more about Old Agaw with an old resident of the barangay. This is Mr. Ramon Dodong Kupay, who's been living all of his life in Barangay Agaw. According to him, Agaw means higher terrain. However, the word Agaw also has another different meaning other than just high ground.
May nga po, best friend Dodong Kupay.
May hapon po.
Karon, Sir Dodong, kabalita ko diri sa Butuan, kanig yung wala pa'y Butuan, nanay Agaw.
Nanay, gid agaw.
Ano sa may historya ng Agaw, Sir Dodong?
Ining agaw sa mga maas tong una sa akong lolo. Mag-iagaw mga tao, pero igagaw ba?
Mo ba?
Oo.
Amo rin, gikan Agaw.
Oo, manang agaw.
Munsa niya siya ka lugar kadugay?
Paano ila juboy, manang agaw. Para sa tulay. Kalibat tong kalo, diya. Kalibat iba doon so, diri. Muntilya, dito.
Wow.
Mana siya ang mga kuan, gitawag nga agaw.
In the early years, Agaw was said to have only been inhabited by the same extended family. The elders would discourage fighting in Agaw because they are all, get this, cousins. Imagine living in a barangay where everywhere you see are your first cousins, second cousins, third cousins, and first cousins once removed, first cousins twice removed, second cousins once removed, maternal first cousins, paternal first cousins, and cross first cousins. Wait, what am I talking about? Why am I naming the types of cousins? Well, so people can just call each other Gaw or Agaw. Thus, when strangers visited the barangay, they just called the place, what else? Agaw.
Unsay pinaka mga memorable ni mo na nahitabo adiri sa imong kinabuhi?
1960s,
Sa may nahitabo sa 1960s?
pagbaha.
Oh?
Dako kay nga baha.
Suday dami Sir Dodong.
Musod dito ang lansa sa syudad. Speedboat musod.
Oh.
Panahon sa laging na.
Oh.
Oh. Mo to ang pinakadako nga baha.
Diri gid man kaning lugar na ilalom gini siya.
Oh, kay diri tagaliob ginako.
Man,
Oh.
okay ra mga tao diri adto.
Buhi kay mga tao
Gamay ra
ganahan, kay gamay pa mga tao.
Man, kaning lugaran ni kung asa na itong likod eh, ingon nila eskwelahan daw nito una.
Kuan man ni si Bintis naman ni eskwelahan. Kani siya si Bintis naman ni. Kuan ni padi na sa akong tiyo. Si Manuel Yap. Ana. Manuel Yap. Di bali siya marag barangay captain ba?
So Sir Dudong, naman na hospital diri na before pa sa World War II.
Na lagi sa likod na kanang likod na to na napabilin dia kasi septic tank.
Oo, sa may istorya ng ospitalan na na.
Wala pa'y gira.
Mm.
Mga hapon, advance na diri nag-doktor.
Mm.
Puyo sa among balay sa akong lula ba.
Mga hapon.
Hapon, doktor.
Wow.
Oo.
Butan to sila ng mga
Mga
hapon.
buotan. Pero mga opisyal ito, panahon sa gira.
Nakaabot ka ng ospital na wala?
Wala. Abtan ako din na pa'y siminto diya, first floor.
Mm.
Naman rin, abtan ako. Ipaguba ni, maningyap ka ng ospital
Oo.
para duwaanan sa mga bata. Hindi mo playground. Mo ni,
Mo na ni siya karon.
playground na, oh.
Pero napagyapoy na bilin na ano?
Napa?
The former Butuan Public Hospital used to stand here, and all the way over there as well, back when this place used to have land before the soil was eroded by the huge Agusan River. It was here even before the Japanese invaded, and years before that during the American occupation. It's that old, basically. And today, this is what's left of the hospital. A broken down concrete septic tank and a few pillars that's seen better days, and a basketball court that at least keeps the people of Agao healthy and fit. The hospital was bombed by US planes during the liberation. The ground area was then used by the AHS in the 1950s as a garden.
Man kaning agaw to una sa Tudong, bibo man daw kaning lugar ah.
Bibo. May problema kay panahon sa laging man.
Unsa may nahitabo
Kwartahan ng mga tao. May trabaho tanan.
Oo. Man sa may naa diri tong una, sa may happenings.
Apin diri Litson diya, way undang. Litson ay mag-adobo. Basta lang may problema lang yung mga tao. Silang kaon. Inom kaon. Kanta-kanta.
A hospital, a jailhouse, and a Catholic chapel made Agao the center of religious activities back in 1622.
Kaya itong mga historian, ilang mo ito nakitaan dito. Uy, mga historian nga mo sa butuan mo na yung mga Kastila ang gihimo. Ano ang gihimo nila diyan, landmark?
Para sige, historical gini siyang agaw.
Historical gina siya.
So wala pa ang Butuan na gyud ang agaw.
Lana. Amoy sulti sa mga maas.
So kanang mga tigong na mga dagkong personalya sa ng Butuan, mga ancestors nila gikan gyud diri sa agaw.
Gikan din agaw.
Ana gyud ikaw ginang one of the ancient ones. Institution gyud ka diri sa Tudong. Salamat gyud kaayo sa imong pagpa-interview sa mga.
Now that we've reached the end of the line for Noli Tangere Street, time to proceed to Tupaz Street. Let's walk around the street of Tupaz and find out more about it when we return. Tupaz Street, named after a former Butuan city councilor, was formerly called Silongan Street. Silongan was an ancient hero who used to live along the river with his tribe. The street is mostly residential, thus it's quite quiet, and it's close to the Agusan River. From north to south, the street adjoins with San Jose Street, M. Carlos Street, Mabini Street, Gomez Street, Lagnada Street, and T. Sanchez Street. Because Tupaz Street is part of the old poblacion of Butuan, you can find a few houses there that date back from the 1940s or the 1950s. Along Tupaz Street is the abandoned and unfinished Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital, which is also supposed to be a medical school. It was abandoned when funds were running out. At least no ghost had time to settle in. This is the House of Tupaz on Tupaz Street. It's been here since the American occupation and was used by the Japanese as their headquarters during World War II. It was mostly destroyed but then fortunately renovated when a bomb fell on the street during the war. Occupation of the Philippines occurred between 1942 and 1945, when Imperial Japan occupied the Commonwealth of the Philippines during World War II. During the Japanese occupation of the Philippines in World War II, Butuan was razed to the ground when the guerrilla forces attacked the enemy garrison during the middle of 1943. In 1945, the Philippine Commonwealth troops in Butuan, together with the reorganized guerrillas, attacked the Japanese forces during the Battle of Agusan on October 20, 1948. Still recovering from the war, the entire municipality was ruined by a fire. One person who lived through World War II as a child happens to live on Tupaz Street. This is Mr. Bautista Calo, and this is his account about the war.
Now it's most educated. I'm bombing sa Pearl Harbor. Pagko sa Pearl Harbor, immediately magkwitin mo sa paro. Actually, at that time, umay ko kay bata pa mo lagi, una-una. Maliwala ka itong ako ko. Na-realize ko lang ang kuhan itong naanay mga hapon din sa Butuan. kapisyon. Muna kami ito sa Amparo. Ibakwit. Pero ang kanino na ito kaya merong mga occupation force ang pupunta din, mga ayong klasan. Itong katapusan ng mga mall dito, silian mo siya. Kaya kung siya, itong nagdadali na nga apang primero, matod niya, ito siya sa kawangan ng Amerika ka-eskwela. Classmate niya siya MacArthur. Pero napurihan siya sa mga salbahe sa mga kaso. Parang lang, dalo-dalo, ng mga puwangan ng gulayon. At least nakatabang sa mga supply, ika-supply namin sa mga gerilya. Itong puwan, usually itong primerong approach nila maayo. Ang katapos na hindi silian man, amat mga buntas, mga salbahe sa mga kupon. At the time, nagidagop para kung ginikanan ito sa Wakitan Test. Akong amahan, gidagop, mga dako yung soon, magwangan. Ang kuwangan, istorya din nga, gikan sa Kiyosko, pingon sa nasipit, iguyod sa kuwan. Tak, silang tulo. Mga watay yun. Mga every Saturday, mga silang pasiyo. Kung nasa naman, titenon, kaya manok, sa ibaboy, silang. Manguli sila. Pero during kuwan nga ning kayang dito sa Agusan River na may kamalig nga buha sa kumahan. Para mo nga kay nag-organize mo ang guerrilla movement ng Alcoyson, Juan Carlo, Captain. Mga donations sa mga kuwan butang dito. From January, Monday to Friday. Butang mga stock saging, sa lang. Pagka Friday afternoon nitihan pag ayaw ka musuldi hapon, musuldi pagkuhan. Pag standby sabi dito, pahingin-hangin sila. Pero at that time, mga tao na maglimpia sa mga kasingan, mga gerilla. Actually, ang akong isuon, Juan Carlo, considered siya local bayani, local hero. Napulani akong original nga, doon nga, member sa commando unit, ang kuhan nila, under Colonel Syrian, Colonel Colonel, magpinatid sa enemy kuhan, concentration camp. So every Saturday, Saturday, magdala siya mga saging. Yung sa provincial year, diyan, ito no. Ihatag niya, ibaligya, pero actually ihatag mo lang niya ito para kuhan, mga Amerikan. Pag itong akong isuon, nga sa mga Janggalo, usa siya nga nakapa, talbang pag-escape kaya natang diyon. Mga sakop niya mga Butuanon. Ayaw na ko nila coordination. Tapos ng gira, liberation naman, mis balik po eskwela.
Okay. I guess this must be the end of Tupaz Street. So where is it? Hello? What's this?
Datu Silongan was one of the tribal village datus along the Agusan River. He was of Tausug origin, as his family came from Hulo. His brothers were also village datus along the banks of the Agusan River. Among them, Datu Kulambu, the chieftain who welcomed and entertained Ferdinand Magellan when he arrived at the mouth of the river in 1521. He was the first hero of the Philippines way back in the 16th century. Datu Silongan never let his people embrace Christianity as crusade for the Spaniards. He and his people bloodily fought to keep their beliefs and traditions. Datu Silongan stands out in history as a great leader, protector of the rights and freedom of his people.
So this is a statue that everybody's talking about. Do you guys know what this is? This is Datu Silongan. He was one of Butuan's most ancient and most legendary heroes. And you can find him here, standing gallantly at the end of Tupaz, just by the concrete part of Magsaysay Bridge at Barangay Silongan. Noli, Tangere, and Tupaz streets aren't the only streets that are part of ancient Butuan. There are actually a few more left to discover, and frankly, these places need a lot more recognition. And the fact that Butuan began from a small place like Agao and it grew to what it is today is simply quite
amazing.
And before we go, the MV in MV Tupaz stands for Mateo Villarreal. And now you know. See you next week for another fact-filled episode about our streets here in Butuan.